Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Long Game. I'm Brent Schafer. Along with me is Tyler Pearson. We are both certified financial planners at HFG Trust, sharing conversations that we're having with our clients. Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Standing on the 18th fairway here at St. Andrews, so I'm
That's
feeling pretty
lovely.
good.
That's
How are you
wonderful.
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm out here in Augusta, getting ready for the Masters, not too far away.
We've got to be careful. If we get too many views, Augusta might come calling for you, getting mad that you're using their course.
Maybe I can go out there and personally talk with them so that we can, settle it if there's any copyright issues.
There you go. There you go. We only do legal copyright battles in person.
Well, anyway, Tyler, I was thinking, but actually I was probably going through either my LinkedIn or Facebook and had something pop up on what people are doing today to make insane sums of money, right? I think it was like, somebody's drop shopping on Amazon. Like, obviously, in order to catch some views, they're dropping eye-popping numbers. So today, I wanted to go over, what does the average consumer look like? What does the average income look like? And just kind of frame a little bit more perspective around where Americans are at today with their finances. I feel like the narrative that's pushed is obviously cherry picked. They use some crazy numbers to draw some attention, but all too often we see that, the actual story isn't that exciting. And so just to provide some context, but before we talk about that, you actually brought this up. We wanted to take a look at, some golf stats for scratch handicap compared to PGA pros. So I'm going to read some of these off. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Average driving distance. What's your average driving distance, Tyler?
Oh man, depends on the time of the year, but I'd say probably just shy of 290, 285.
Perfect. We'll have to do a video where you actually go and prove that.
How many tries do I get?
I'll give you 3.
All right.
You can definitely do that. Average driving distance for a scratch handicap, 259 yards.
Oh, why am I not scratched then?
Yeah, there's a few other things that you did wrong. Average PGA Tour pro, guess what it is? And this is as of 2023.
300 yards.
It's 299.9. Price is Right rules, you're over.
Oh man, I lose.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't count.
Ooh, greens in regulation for a scratch handicap. How many greens is a scratch hitting?
8 or 9.
That's pretty good. So it actually is a percentage. So I've got 56 here. So that would be 9 to 10. PGA Tour pro, how many greens are they hitting?
As a percentage?
As a percentage.
65.
Yep, you're right on, 66.
Oh, I'm on fire, man.
With,
I need to
that's about 12. Okay, here we go. Let's do this one. How many putts per round? PGA Tour player.
putts per round, 28.
29.
Yeah, I'm giving them too much credit.
Okay, scratch handicapper, what do you think putts per round?
So it's 29 for the pros. Let's call it 30.
30.7.
All right.
How many do you average, Tyler?
32.
32. Dang.
Maybe
I
33.
think I'm probably 34, maybe 35.
There's 2 of the strokes that I have on you.
Okay, bogeys per round.
For me, 9. No, for a scratch golfer, probably 5 or 6. 5.
Yeah, 4.6. And then PGA Tour pro, 2.6.
Jeez.
So
hey,
yeah.
it's bogey avoidance is what I'm getting. It's not necessarily distance that matters. It's bogey avoidance, having
up
small
and
amounts
downs.
of putts, up and downs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar almost to like, to try to go full circle to the start of the conversation. People throw out all of these attractive big numbers, like you said, on LinkedIn or Facebook with the drop shipping and stuff. But you and I kind of know on the finance side that it's not the sexy things, for lack of a better word, that typically build wealth for individuals. A lot of the time it's boring discipline. And it's the same thing in golf. I think people talk about boring golf as good golf. I would say that boring finance is good finance for the personal level. It's not typically picking the hottest stock. It's the motto of what the long game is meant to be, as in why we kind of started the podcast is, we're in it for the long game, and we know there are things that will make people successful over the long run, but it sure ain't super cool all the time.
To take it one step further, have you ever had one of those rounds where you're just playing boring golf?
Yes.
Like you're just, all right, put it in the fairway or maybe just a little bit off. And then we're on the green and we 2-putt and like boring golf. And then pretty soon you're at the end of the round. And it's like, man, I got a good number on the scorecard.
I think even a step further on exactly what you're saying is like boring golf. So say you par the first 3 holes and it's been like hit a fairway, maybe just in the first cut, put it on the green to 30 feet, 2-putt, but nothing particularly special. Haven't hit a great shot, just haven't hit any bad shots. And you get 3-4 holes in and the first hole wasn't super excited, second wasn't, third wasn't, and you get 4 holes in, you're even par, you're like, hey, like this actually is kind of exciting. I think you get that throughout the course of your life with disciplined saving. The first year you save $7,000 in a Roth IRA, it looks like $7,000. It's not super exciting, but 5 years into that, you've put 35,000 in and it's grown to 60,000 or something like that. That starts to get exciting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Now we're going to shut down the golf talk, swear off of it, and let's go to some financial stats.
Right.
Average American debt by generation.
All right.
Okay.
Am I guessing again?
Yeah, let's let you guess. And this is from Experian. So Gen Z in 2025, average debt.
How old are Gen Z people?
18 to 28.
Okay. Average debt. So these are people. So man, I guess most Gen Zs don't have a home. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 30,000.
35,000.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Millennials. So that's 29 to 44.
I feel like because homes make such a big dent.
Just off the cuff,
100,000.
man. Okay, 132. Gen X, so 45 to 60.
350.
158. Baby boomers, 61 to 79.
I think it's going back down. 60,000.
92,000. And then the silent generation, 80 plus.
$15.
Go back to 38,000.
Okay, so it does drop
Okay.
significantly. All right.
Yeah. We started, right? It's like, okay, we probably have some consumer debt. Maybe Gen Z not into a home at that point in their lives. Millennials, Generation X, yeah, probably have a mortgage. And then, baby boomers, they're paying that off and debt comes down, and silent generation, is kind of on its way up, on its way down. But anything stand out to you?
No, I think the stats are interesting. It'd be really interesting to see it broken down by what kind of debt. But my guess would be that Generation Z, there's not a lot of home or mortgage debt in there, which would lead me to believe that, being in the 30,000 kind of debt range is maybe concerning from a generational perspective. But overall, I would say the numbers across the board are lower than I would have anticipated. I might be missing something. Maybe homeownership stats I'm just not up to date on, because that's just such a big part of people that have a lot of debt. Typically, if you have like $300,000 of debt, it's typically a mortgage in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, and we go through these stats. Remember, we've got average, and then there's also median.
Right.
Just throw back to stats class for everybody. And so in the data, average can really throw off your weightings here. Okay, let's go to net worth now. You ready for net worth? And this is from a different data source. So now it's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, but average by decade. So in your 20s, average net worth.
I really don't know. 50 or 60,000 probably.
So 127. But then the median net worth, right? So out of that age group, it'd be the person right in the middle. Median net worth, $6,600.
Okay. So a huge discrepancy. So there's some big outliers on the high end.
A little bit more realistic. Yeah. In the 30s. So let's just start with median net worth, 24,000. Average net worth, 321,000.
Okay.
I think going forward as we go through these, let's just focus on that median number, because that would be kind of smack dab in the middle. Average, right? The upper portion is really overweighting the data. So median net worth for the 40s, 76,000. Median net worth for the 50s, 192. Median net worth for the 60s is 290,000. Median net worth for the 70s, 232,000. Median net worth for the 80s, 234,000, and 90s, 206,000.
You notice that we always talk about the accumulation phase of life, right? Your working career, you're saving money. And then funny enough, it actually continues to grow. But if you notice on the tail end, it kind of drops back down a little bit as people spend. So it's kind of, into your 60s, and then you start spending money in your 70s, 80s, 90s, decreases a little bit. So it kind of follows, let's say, sound logic in the sense that you're saving and then you're spending. That's typically how retirement works for people.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I pulled it up just now, and I'm seeing that the averages are in the millions. So, median's definitely a better number to look at from a sense of, kind of getting rid of some of those outliers. But it is interesting to see how large of a discrepancy the average and the median are. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And then one other thing. So the genesis of this, I think, idea for our podcast, I recently read a book, and it is The Wealth Ladder by Nick Maggiulli. Apologies if I'm just butchering his name. It recently came out, but the concept of that book is that there's different distinct ladders that growth of your wealth can be broken into, and they're actually on a base of 10. And so like, wealth ladder 1 is $0 to $10,000 of net worth. Wealth ladder 2 is 10,000 to 100,000, 300,000 to $1 million. Level 4 is $1 million to 10 million. And he goes through what are typical problems at that level of wealth. How do you climb from, let's say if you start at 1 or if you start at 2, how do you go from 1 to 3? How do you go from 2 to 4? And then, essentially in the upper echelon, you're looking at level 5, which is, 10 million to 100 million, and level 6 is 100 million plus. What problems you encounter at that point, how you address them, how do you even get to that level? $100 billion. That's, just a crazy amount of wealth to accumulate. I know that we are kind of numb to the fact of, how much Bezos is worth, how much Buffett's worth, but still, in order to get to that point, it takes some pretty drastic income. Okay. And so now I'm on his website and I'm looking at the group that is age 30 to 34. We did some prep work. We did some research for this and he has great data on his website, but it's just a little too nuanced. But for 30 to 34, so household income, the 50th percentile for those people, if your household income is $77,826, you are smack dab in the middle, right? Now, if we go up to the 75th percentile, U.S. household income, $118,900. And then again, what's going to grab headlines, what's going to grab people's attention is going to be, the 99th percentile of wages. And that's, 468,000, right? That's a nice paycheck. But I think for a lot of people that I talk to, and especially now that so much is online, like comparison is the thief of joy. We compare our situation to other people's situation. We see curated moments of other people's lives. It's the highlight reel that we decide to share.
Right.
And it just makes us feel worse about our own situation. Right. And it's like, okay, that's just kind of the nature of the world that we live in. And we got to, unfortunately, we have to be able to dissociate or just either acknowledge that and say, okay, yeah, sure. It's just the perfect points that they're sharing, and not to feel bad about our own situation, but to take it, learn from it. Is there anything I can gain? Could I be doing something better? Okay, maybe not. Maybe I just need to work harder in this area and then keep on plowing forward. So any thoughts there?
No, I think the last thing I would bring up, and I actually had a meeting with a company yesterday that had employees from probably literally 18 and up to 60. And one of the things that got brought up was regarding trying to buy a home. And kind of my spiel to people was setting expectations on what's realistic, I think is extremely important. And that's kind of what you're getting at when you're looking into some of this data is have an understanding for the expectation that you're setting for yourself. So you can't expect to be like Joe that you see on Instagram who, says he's worth millions of dollars and he's 28. You kind of want to have an understanding of, maybe what's normal, and then you can strive for better than normal. That's great. And how I kind of circled that back to the home ownership portion was saving up enough money to buy a home is not easy. That's the unfortunate reality for a lot of people, but it is doable for most people. And it's just setting the expectation that it might be 3 years, right? It might take time to save up that money. And I don't ever like being the bearer of bad news, but I hope that for a couple of people, that just gives them hope that with a little bit of sacrifice and discipline, great things really are possible.
Yeah.
That's my motivational spiel.
Heck yeah. You always do a great job of closing it out. And as much as we need to capitalize on the time that we do have by sitting down, talking with an advisor, putting the plan in place, and at least just narrowing our focus, right? From, oh gosh, what am I doing with my life, to like, no, this is the path that I'm on. I'm working this. And then if things change, I'm going to go talk with somebody and we're going to reassess, get together a game plan. But as much as we need to take advantage of that time, we also have so much time in our lives, right? To save 3 years of maybe potentially renting and saving towards a house down purchase, as opposed to, it's going to take 30 years, right? Or 15, depending on whatever your mortgage is, to pay the thing off. So those moments of discipline going without, they're just kind of brief snippets, and they mean so much more to, this timeline that is your life, if you can really delay that gratification and just wait until the future. So anyway, Tyler, good conversation, man. Let's end it there and we'll pick it up next week.
My takeaway is that now I know what I need to do to make the tour. 56% greens in regulation and 2 bogeys around. I'll be good.
Perfect. See you
All
later,
right,
man.
See you, Brett.